Hey guys, it's everybody here. So, anyway, I did do a real quick video before, and it got cut off, so I'm not gonna talk about what I talked about in the beginning of that video. So we're just gonna go right into this one. Now, this video will be talking about community services and some of the things that I am working on right now with a family center that I found in my town. That will be working with me free of charge with some budgeting ideas and helping me with that sort of thing. I wasn't sure. I believe I talked about this when I was still living in the apartment that I moved, the town that I moved from, with a situation with my previous landlord. In regards to when my ex-husband left, he left me, he cut all financial things off, and I only had my little bit of income that was coming in, and a lot of the things, like credit stuff, was left way behind in payments. My rent for the place was messed up. I do get, I am on housing services. The reason why that is, I would like to give background, is because I lived in another county, and I had a very high-paying job. And what happened was I was in a corporate job, and then I was in a law firm job. And I also worked I was a manager for a lawn and tree service. And then when we had the flood in 1999, which was Floyd, the gentleman that had the lawn service had lost a lot of equipment. So I was laid off, basically, almost a year, because it took a year to recover from that. Home damage and stuff like that. I was in a situation rent-to-own property at the time, and water got into my basement through the foundation. Now, I thought I had talked about this before in another video, so if I'm repeating something, I know I have a lot of new subscribers, so I just wanted to give a little background on it. So what wound up happening is we had to have litigation, and I had to fill out for FEMA. Now, I did remodel the place. It was a two-family house. I had to remodel downstairs, and that's the part that was damaged. So it was basement and first floor. And I was told at the time of the contract thing that it was not a flood zone because it was on a hill. Okay? Truthfully, it is a flood zone. It was deemed a flood zone, and I had to get flood. They gave me insurance, but they did not put flood coverage on there. So I had to go and get, which FEMA helped me with, get the flood damage portion of the insurance for the house. So, but then I had to go into litigation and say I was lied to, basically, by the real estate people that it was a flood zone. So, I only received not even half of the money that I had put into the property to maintain to remodel the downstairs, because I was not getting, it took so long to get income from that property. So, I had to give the house up because it was power washing and all that, and it's very expensive. So, and then we had to worry about mold growing up the walls and maintaining the brand new sheetrock that was put there, and going into beams and stuff like that. So, that whole thing was a disaster. So I wound up moving, and then I had another house purchase 35 minutes away, actually, from the other town that I was in. Now, that I lost that property because the couple, the husband and wife that owned it, decided to get a divorce, and the wife or the ex-wife didn't want it to have the house back so she could live in it. So I was giving notice I had to leave the property and all this. I winded up actually homeless, so I had to sign up for a homeless prevention program in the town that I was working in, which is a different county. So I wind up living in that. I went to the homeless prevention. It was a house that it was through Easter Seals. Now Easter Seals is usually for disabled persons. Now I'm a disabled person. I am on disability. But I do work. I'm on disability, but I do work. If I do work, so I know there's a lot of people that will judge people that collect disability. So, but I do work and I pay income tax like everybody else. I've always worked. I never sat around. I've been working actually since I was 15 years old. So, we just get that out of the way. And I pay income tax, like everybody else. I've owned ownership, so I've paid property tax. So, okay, we're gonna get that out of the way. Because I might have some questions, or negatively questions on that. And so, we went through all that. And now, the only problem with the homeless prevention for some people, now my son was young, my son was small, so he went to Catholic school. Now I was laid off, oh, I'm sorry. Well, that was the other town I was laid, but I was working in the town that I moved to. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. I came from one county to the other county because I worked in the other county, so I went where I worked. Let me just correct that. Okay. So I worked at that place, which was like it's called Center for Educational Advancement, and it helps people with disabilities find work, like job coaching, things like that. So I worked there. And then, and then I wasn't, and I think I got laid off from there. And then I had to take a job at ShopRite, $6.50 an hour at the time. This was probably in 2000. I'm sorry, 2001, because that's when I came into the other county. That was 2001. I worked at 2 locations for ShopRite, one in my town, and then I switched to a town that was maybe 15 minutes away from where I lived. So I worked it was the same owner of the ShopRite. So I worked in both towns. And then I got very sick, and I was out of work 5 months. Lost significant amount of income there. And then I was offered a housing voucher. Now, I'm going to explain the housing voucher. Now, there's 2 different kinds. There is county HUD, which is where it's on a low to moderate income, three things of housing. So there's the low to moderate income housing, which basically goes on your income. It's if you're low income, if you're moderate, and so forth. So it goes on your family size. Now you can only stay in the county with that, or go to low to moderate income places. They do have low to moderate income home ownership too. So it's either apartment or a home ownership, depending on the size of your family. A lot of people are familiar with that, and a lot of people don't like that in their neighborhood. So, and then the other one is county housing, where if you're asking for emergency assistance, you get rental assistance that's in your county, your borough, or whatever. And you go to them and you fill the paper out. There is waiting lists for that stuff, sometimes 2 years. 6 months to 2 years waiting list for that program. And then they give you emergency rental assistance as if you're being, if you're homeless or I'm sorry, if you're being evicted or whatever, they help you um, find, some kind of apartment where you could go into and have emergency assistance. So that's that program. Then there's the federal housing, which I do get federal housing voucher, because my income was not the same income I had in the other county because of the homelessness. So, and my income is too low to afford an apartment in this county because yes, this county is more expensive than the other county, but the other county, excuse me, the other county has a lot of crime in it. Depending on where you go, and if you have to live on a low income, you're going to be in a crime area. The town that I come from, that I grew up in, I should say, because I'm not from New Jersey, was starting to get very bad. Okay, with burglaries, muggings during the day. You couldn't go to the train station. They would mug you at the train. Things like that. Gangs, things, just stuff like that. It's a very rough. Actually, it's worse now that I've gone through. I have to go that way to go visit my mom's grave, and those couple of towns are just very bad and getting very bad. They're getting close to Trenton, New Jersey. If anybody's familiar with Trenton, is very bad. Camden, New Jersey is very bad. Newark. If anybody's familiar with Newark, New Jersey is very bad. But it's getting similar to that. It's not that bad, but it could get there if you let it. If people don't take care of the town, it's going to get like that. So anyway, whereas this town, but it's built up and it has stores here that you can easily get to. There's a bus system, local county bus systems. You need, if your car breaks down, you can take the bus. You can go to the store. I'm an in-between city and country person. I would love to be in the country, or where it's not congested, but in a way I like that, having the stores close to me where it's 5-minute trip, 10-minute trip, whatever. That's just where I come from. The state that I come from, that's what the towns look like. It's country, and then there's built up parts. And there's convenient transportation. If you don't own a car, or if your car breaks down, you have other transportation to take. So it's in between, and that's what this town is. It's in between farmland and built up. A lot of the farms have sold or retired or passed away, and they've sold their property to developers. So that's what I'm talking about. But I still like the fact that there is farming. Might not be in my direct area, but if you go out more, there's farming areas. We do have local farms here. So, and all that. So, there's farms that are not, that far away that work with our community grocery stores. So, they helping the farmers out by doing that, providing them with income. So, it's great. So this is why I had to accept that, because, like I said, my income level, and I want, seriously, in this county, I'm sorry, a lot of the rents are $1,200 a month. If you don't have two incomes, if you don't make above a certain amount, if you don't make more than $12 to $15 an hour, you cannot have an apartment without assistance. Unfortunately, a lot of the state of New Jersey and New York are like that. I'm sure there's other states and communities that are like the same way. But if you go like Pennsylvania or down south, or Midwest, I'm going to say like Ohio maybe, or Indiana, something like that, the rents will be lower. Um, but there's also communities in those other states that I mentioned that do have rich areas that you will be paying out of your nose. We'll just put it that way. So that is the situation. So anyway, I had the issue with the other landlord basically ripping me off. But when my ex-husband left, the problem was he paid cash for rent. And he's a little bit of a dope and didn't ask for a receipt. So he was trying to go after, my landlord, was trying to go after me, I believe, for rent that my husband paid cash for and I did not have a receipt for to prove. He was also trying to charge me for the housing department's portion of rent, which was already paid. I had proof and documentation. I had to hire an attorney to represent me in court because he did take me to court. I had an issue. For people that don't know this, if you go to a judgment court or a eviction court, and you pay, even though you're saying, but you don't have any proof to back it up, and you pay a judgment, it is going on your credit report. So I have that issue. So I had to hire another attorney, Lexington Law, to go over my credit reports to try to get that removed because it was incorrect. To get some stuff removed off my credit. I also dealt with identity theft most of the time that I lived in that area because we had someone that was going in their mailboxes and stealing mail from people and stealing their bank cards and their bank statement to get their account numbers, all this. I've been through 3 banks with this issue. So that's why I had to do that. Now, I got picked for this apartment, so I moved to this apartment. But because of the other situation where my landlord forced me by duress to forfeit my security deposit to him, claiming this false claim of rent. So, this was the only apartment complex that called me because I was rejected by 5 other apartment complexes and condos, being that judgment was on my credit report. So I went and I applied for emergency assistance with a security deposit. Now, I had given, I was told, to go to the department and tell them that I applied for this emergency thing. Now, I was being heavily harassed. That's why I did it. And so I explained to the apartment complex about this. But because of squatters' laws in New Jersey, and I'm sure other places, they will not give you a key. They're not going to believe and listen to you that you've, filed this thing. So I had to give, I gave the apartment complex $600 towards my security to sign the lease, and I got my key, and we moved in. Now, the problem is we just moved from the other place. Now, it was either stay on the street, go into a hotel, or go back to the other place, and there was no way we're going to the other place because then my landlord at that other place would have charged rent for that. He would have tried to charge me the whole month. And I would not have had any money for this place. So when I came in, I had a review with my disability. What happened was, that's another thing with disability, if anybody doesn't know. If you get hired to work somewhere, which they legitimately have a right to do this, and I agree with this totally, they will, they go by what's called estimated wages, which you have not earned these wages yet, but they'll go by it. So what they did was they went by these estimated wages and decided to lower and then eventually remove my disability when I did not earn the amount that they put on the paper. Um, so anyway, um, so everything got fouled up with that, and I wind up filling out this emergency thing 3 times. I'm gonna tell you, I will never, ever go to a social services and ask for this thing again, because it's just red tape. Our governor stinks in the state of New Jersey. I don't like him. I don't care if he knows that or not. I can't stand the guy. So Trenton is where they send it off to, because it used to go by the county. So Trenton denied me. Now this will be the 4th application they have denied. So I went through another agency that's a supportive housing thing, and they recommended a Norwest Gap loan. Now, this is a housing loan, and they have other loans too for either low or moderate income. Now, you have to be working to apply for this loan. This is not a free money that they're giving to people on disability or whatever, or just to anybody. You have to be employed to receive this fund. Now, I think it's like a grant through the state, a loan through the state. You have to pay this loan back at a very low interest. It's lower than a traditional bank loan. So I went through another agency. A family center, which I thought I was going to talk about. The family center. It's called Family Success Center. It's local in my town, and I went to them with a supportive housing worker. What you have to do is you go to them and you explain the situation. So they're offering a $1,500 grant. Now, you have to do things to get the grant. They're not just handing it to anybody. You have to do certain things with that family center to get the grant. So, I have to do a budgeting contract, and also to get everything back on track again. And I agreed to that whole thing because anything that I can do to help myself get out of my, to help me get out of the situation that I'm in due to other circumstances. Now, I know I'm going to get comments that say, oh, you're blaming the other well, how would you like it if a landlord came after you and falsely accused you of owing money that you don't owe? Okay? Because I know those comments are probably going to come. So I'm just letting it out for you. So if you're going to respond to me that way by leaving that type of comment, then there's your answer to the comment. So I'm trying to do stuff before I know the comments are coming, so I want to just lay everything out. Also, like I said, you have to do things to get these grants, loans. Now, these are for people that are employed. You might be disabled and get disability. Which one of the disabilities is for if you are indigent, which means you would have no other income because of your disability. And I have a few disabilities. And then the other disability is if you worked and have a disability and you've paid into the system, then you get your disability. You're entitled to that disability. Now, that disability does not change. If you earn more income and you're paying more into the system, that'll change and go up. What they do is they take from the last 10 years of your employment. If you work for 10 years, you're entitled to this. Not many people know that have disabilities. Okay, so like I said, there's 2 types of disabilities. There's your retirement. There's your retirement. You could be retirement and receive disability too. But there's disability if you've worked and you have disability and you've been on the one that is for indigent people. That means no income whatsoever, and they've had disabilities before the age of 21. So my disability was from age I'm sorry, younger than that. But I was denied originally when I was a child, so my mother had to reapply and actually sue. We had to sue to get retroactive, okay? So that's what that is. Because a lot of people do not know anything about that. They don't know that they can, if their child has disability, they don't know if they can apply for what's called SSI, which is security supplemental income. It supplements your income unless you are working. Now, if you're working, they're going to take it away because you have to pay them back because you're subsidizing your income, and so that means that you don't qualify and you got to give it back. So a lot of people judge people on that and say, oh, well, you're trying to call it. No, no, no. They come and they take it away. You lose your health insurance. You get Medicaid with it. You lose Medicaid. So you're losing health insurance and your payments. So you're losing two things. So, I mean, unless you are able to have health insurance through your employer, you're great. If you're working somewhere that does not provide insurance, health insurance, you're kind of screwed. So if you are getting SSI and you want to work, make sure that you're working for a place that will provide health insurance, because you will lose your health insurance. Now they have now they have workability Medicaid, which is great because you can be working, but if you're still considered low income, I think you're allowed a certain amount of money every month to qualify for workability Medicaid. Now I believe that's part of the what was actually going through the government, which was the extended Medicaid. I believe that's what it is. So, which is workability Medicaid. So there's quite a few people that I know that are getting the workability Medicaid, and I think that's good because then they can get, God forbid they get sick or anything like that, and their employer maybe not providing health care, which is good. But I know President Trump wanted to come in and maybe improve it or change it or whatever it was, but I guess Democrats put a dag on that one. So, but well, that's government. This is not a government debate. I just know what I'm experiencing at the moment. But and I'm hoping that this information is gonna help someone else. Because I'll let you know if you live in New Jersey. I don't know about other states, but if you live in New Jersey, basically you're not going to get any kind of emergency help from social services or state of the Trenton for a security deposit. So don't even bother. That's my opinion. It might have helped maybe it helped somebody else. I don't know, but in my opinion, I'm for myself anyway. I'm not gonna deal with them because I'll be honest with you, they made me feel like I'm a deadbeat dummy that doesn't know how to pay anything, and that other landlord was doing illegal things by trying to rip off the Section 8 HUD housing, the housing voucher thing, and trying to charge a tenant what has already been paid by the federal government is corrupt. So that landlord is corrupt, and nobody. He does it in such a way where you can't even fight back. I was told I could sue. Now I'm being told I can't sue. I can't do anything now after I was told I could. But you know what? Whatever. The guy's in. He did this to 4 other tenants, not just myself. So, hopefully he'll rot in hell. You know, for doing that. So, to people. And also, if you've been a convicted felon for anything, you're not supposed to get Section 8 housing. And we had a person in that building that was arrested for child molesting and child porn. And he had 2 other roommates that decided to live there on this person's housing. They were never reported to housing. So they were able to live on the government for 3 years. And the landlord did not turn them in. And several people have called the housing department to tell them this. But nothing was done. But yet, I have to get my credit card statement is under my dad's name, and I have to get it to my address. And I was called in numerous times asking why does my father's mail come to my address, and me explaining. They told me I'm not allowed to do that because it's concerning him living there. And I said, well, I'm going to get documentation he does not live here, that I pay this bill because I use this credit card for school. It's under both our names, but yeah, we all know how that works out. You know what I mean? If they get away with it, but yet the person that's honest and reports their income, they're gonna come right over here and make you look like a moron. So anyway, that's that's my video for today. That I'm going to talk about that family center, and then I'm getting that situation straightened out. So if anybody has any questions, anybody lives, I don't know if I should mention the name of the county, but if you are in New Jersey and would like to tell me what county you're in, and you need this type of help, I will be glad to give you the information of where they're located. So if anybody needs that. Or, well, actually, because I work for a state agency and I do a couple things, I can provide you with whatever county you're in if you're in New Jersey, or Bucks County. If you're in Bucks County, I could probably provide that for you also. We do sometimes collaborate with Pennsylvania, Bucks County area. So if anybody needs that type of information, leave a comment below with your email or what your channel name is if you're on YouTube, and I will try my best to, or if you're on Facebook and I can privately message you, I can provide the information. So so that's the situation here. And I'm going to start another series of videos talking about community services. I'm also going to do, on my other channel, I'm going to talk about some children's services that I run through the community. So, like developmental centers, youth centers, any kind of thing like that, I'm going to put on my other channel. But the other services, like community, social service, whatever, is on this channel. But, like I said, my experience with social service, I will not be going there again for any type of thing. I personally didn't want housing, but like I said, I was put into a predicament, and I had to accept it, which I really did not want to accept it. I don't believe in living on, I'm not trying to live off, I'm trying to be self-sustaining and all that. I'm going to also do other videos. I'm going to show you my prepping, my food prepping. Well, they call them doomsday preppers, but it's in case of emergency food prepping type of thing. Not necessarily doomsday prepper, but I do emergency food prepping, or supply prepping, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to bring you a video about that. So I'm going to end this video. I'm sorry for the long video, but just wanted to get that information out for people. And then thank certain people for leaving the comments that they have left with certain questions that they had. I know Kayla S. I mentioned before. She left a comment asking about Snapchat. And then Susan. I don't remember the last name, but Susan. I believe she asked for